Hello everyone, you have joined the New Destinations webinar, another special edition of the RailFreight live show. And today we're celebrating. And why are we celebrating? We have many reasons, because we're going on tour, we have many events for 2022, and we are 5 years old. Hello everyone, it's Friday 19 November and today we're taking you on a tour through our special events and our 2022 calendar. And on the table with me I have my colleagues, Nikos Paptorios.
Hello Mayuri, good afternoon everybody.
Hello, and we have Rob Vos. Hello.
Hi, good afternoon everyone.
Good afternoon. And we have the audience because, yes, you're always there, that's true, but this time you're actually able to interact with us. And for that, we have Rob Vos on the table as well. He has a laptop in front of him and he can see all your questions. So please do pose your questions. This is your chance to be seen and heard, and we can pose them to the speakers because we also have 3 exciting speakers on the line with us. I'm not going to reveal it yet. You will see it soon, but they will take us through an exciting 2022. But first, as you can see, we are celebrating. And what are we celebrating? Ta-da-da-da! We are 5 years old.
It's our 5 years anniversary, right?
It is, because in 2016, it was that RailFreight.com started.
It was the first time that the first article started getting published, right?
Yeah, we look back and it was October 2016, so actually we're a bit late. We are 5 years and 2 months. But now this is a good moment to celebrate.
I guess so, yes. Many things have changed during these 5 years.
Yes, very certainly. The team has changed. So Rob was there for a very long time. I think you're the oldest RailFreight habitant. And we have also, we're taking you through a short history here because we have had 3 editors. This is Simon Weedy. He was the very first one. You worked with him, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. He started RailFreight Live, and yes, it looks like he's no longer with us because he's black and white, but he is with us. He's just not working for RailFreight.
Important disclaimer.
Yes, he is still with us, but he's not working for RailFreight.com anymore.
And then who is in the middle?
That's me. And then we have Nikos, and we are now working together on RailFreight.com.
Precisely. 3 generations of journalists, many news on the line and many news to come, I guess.
Certainly, because we are now 2, so we can publish a lot more news than before.
Precisely.
When did you join us?
I joined almost a year ago, last October, basically, in the end of October. So I'm 1 year old.
Yes.
I'm having 1/5 of RailFreight's history. So yeah, I'm super excited for the future because the first year was a bit weird for me due to the corona and all the restrictions, but now the industry is getting back to normal, as much as possible at least. And we have very exciting things coming next year, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, you had a bit of a rough start, but now this is...
Yes, but that's good, I think. That's good, because I saw the difficult side of the industry and the business, and now I'm looking forward to the future, a more creative future, I would say.
Yeah. And Rob, when did you start?
I started with Promedia Group already in 2010, so that's a long time ago. But I wanted to say that this is, of course, the fixed team of editors, and we work with a very big, flexible freelance part. And we also have to thank them, I think, for their commitment over the years, because we really need more than just 2 or 3 editors on the team to cover everything what's going on, because it's super big.
Yeah. All right. We also want to take a look at the audience because you're here and you're always with us, so we want to appreciate that. Where's our audience coming from, Nikos?
I mean, I can certainly claim and argue that we have a global audience, for sure. We have many users and visitors from the UK, from the US, of course Europe, but we also have visitors from China, India, many different countries across the globe. So yes, I think that what Rob said previously about the freelancers who are covering many different areas around the world are very important, because we need to keep in touch with developments all around the world, all around the globe, and be up to date.
Yeah, and there's one special correspondent that we should mention, because as you can see, one country is a bit darker than the others. That's the UK.
It's our champion, the UK.
Yes, as you can see, the top 10 is here and the UK is on number 1. And we have Simon Walton for that, another
Yes,
Simon.
of course.
And he actually started working for us, I think, 3 years ago. And since he did so, the audience in the UK got even larger. So Simon, thank you.
But it's also crucial to mention that the UK audience has, I think, has a very deep historical and cultural relationship with rail.
Yeah.
Due to maybe, let's say, the Industrial Revolution, but it's a very integral part of their transportation industry. So people are very interested in developments. But I think we see a shift taking place in other countries too. So
Yeah.
it's very important to stick with it.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot of correspondents all over the world, and we're expanding that. But we're going to talk about RailFreight.com a lot more during this webinar. Because first, we want to talk about our events. As you know, we are a publication with a lot of news, but we also organize events. Now, Rob, we have a special concept to announce because we have a new concept looking for new destinations. Can you maybe reveal it to us?
Well, of course, I want to reveal it because we have two flagship events, as we call it. We started 5 years ago also with the European Silk Road Summit. Mm-hmm. At first it was a Dutch event, but rather quickly we changed it into an international event because we were saw that international people coming to a Dutch-spoken conference. And we have the RailFreight Summit, which is of course always hosted in Poland. With the growing community we have on RailFreight.com, but also the growing community visiting our events, we see that there is a need to visit regions, local regions. New terminals are being opened, new destinations are being launched. And it's super important to bring all stakeholders together on multiple occasions. So that's why we created the concept RailFreight on Tour. At first, honestly speaking, it was a working title. But it was well welcomed very good. And the map pretty more or less already shows where we are going on tour next year. But we haven't announced the exact locations yet, and that's also where this is for. Mm-hmm. So do you want me to reveal?
Of course, yes. You were the one behind the idea, so I think you should uncover the destinations.
Yeah, well, then just click on the next scheme. We will be visiting 3 locations next year, and I'm really proud of the cooperation with the hosting partners we have, because without the hosting partners, we cannot go towards the region. We connect the European community with the local stakeholders. And it's also good for new terminals to see how you develop a terminal and how that's being built. First in line, 5-6 April, we go to Lithuania, Vilnius, and we work very closely together with LTG, the entire LTG group. Then next, 15-16 June, Lviv, Ukraine, where we will be cooperating with Lemtrans and N-Unit, a new to-be-built terminal. And last but very not least, East-West Gate Intermodal Logistics, also building a new terminal. And we have actually been visiting the terminal in Fenjes-Litke already. We will host the event in Debrecen, and we'll definitely visit the brand new terminal in Fenjes-Litke on the 19th of October.
Okay. And what is the concept behind being on tour? Is this something that we're going to do once, or we're going to be on tour all the time?
We kick off this on-tour concept this year, but honestly speaking, we already have more or less a few destinations in 2023 and also one in 2024 already, of which we are speaking to, and we're really open to bring our community to the places where it actually happens, so you can see what's going on, a place you would usually maybe not visit, but by having the community there, having interesting insights from the location, and be able to see it with your own eyes. Yeah, those 3 points really make it worth going to places with our community and with our team.
Yeah.
It's going to be, sorry Marjorie, it's going to be different places each year, right?
Yes, every year different places, different locations. It does not end with only these 3. This is just the start.
Yeah, and how does it start, such a cooperation?
We are being recognized with our community as the leading community of RailFreight in Europe. And yeah, simply by talking and being asked the question if it would be a good occasion to cooperate, we started talks, and it's really in our both belonging or interest that we team up and connect local stakeholders with the European players.
Yeah.
Expand your business.
And can anyone join us on tour?
Anyone can join us on tour,
yeah.
But the locations we choose, of course, based on relevance and interest, also from our readers.
So as an audience, for example, I'm a person who wants to visit one such event. Can I also say I want to visit all the events? Is there like a special arrangement for that?
Of course.
Yeah.
Give me a call. No,
right.
no. We are, of course, opening up the possibility to attend for each individual event. But we see that we have a very fixed community who is visiting us multiple times a year. And we are, of course, creating the possibility to join everywhere or just 3 out of 5 or 4 out of 5. And we will make special arrangements indeed. Yeah.
And does it mean we're still going to Poland as well? Because that is now not shown on this picture?
Yes. Besides the new RailFreight on Tour concept, which is very accurately planned in the calendar, we will, of course, be celebrating our 5th RailFreight on Tour edition, RailFreight Summit edition. Yes. Sorry for that, which we will be hosting. Can I announce that as well?
Of course, yeah. I think we go back to the. Is it here? Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So
yeah. This is our entire event calendar for next year.
Mm-hmm.
I will elaborate on the one in Riga later on. But the RailFreight Summit in Poland, we're going to organize next year, 2nd week September in Warsaw. 5th edition, and the European Silk Road Summit, also a reoccurring event we will host in 3 weeks from now in Amsterdam, 7-8 December. And for next year, we are in negotiation with a location, but I cannot announce that yet.
Okay, so if people want to have the Silk Road Summit in their city, they can still call you and convince you?
Let me say, yeah, we can always start the discussions, yeah.
Okay, so those are 2 events that are happening every year. And then, as you said, there is the Track Access Chargers Summit, this one over here.
It's a little bit strange one in this really B2B industry calendar. We have always been organizing the Track Access Chargers Summit once every other year, already next year for the 6th time. This is really about, it's a political and governmental topic, the access charging, but it involves all of us. And it's a very high-level event where all governments and infrastructure operators and charging bodies from Europe gather. So I think it's really good that we also tell our audience that there is a meeting place to actually meet the access charging bodies, the infrastructure managers. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit strange in this entire concept, but it's been going on for years already, and yeah, it will be a joint cooperation between our other publication, RailFreight, railtech.com and railfreight.com.
Yeah, and that is also coming back every year.
Every other year.
Every other year, okay.
Yeah.
So 6 events for 2022. I'm looking forward to it. I think we're all looking forward to it.
Certainly.
We like being on tour and we like meeting our local communities. And as the RailFreight on Tour Lithuania edition is the first one to come, I propose we have a little talk on that.
Yes, it's the first in line, the first event in line on 5 and 6 April, as we mentioned previously. And why Lithuania? We mentioned new destinations, and in my opinion, I think that Lithuania has a growing potential due to its position in the map, but also due to some of the developments taking place right now in the country. But we have a video prepared for this occasion and an online guest, so I think we're ready to dive into Lithuania a bit more.
Europinio geležinkelio vėžė nuo Kauno stoties iki Kauno intermodalinio terminalo – tai itin svarbus žingsnis integruojant Baltijos šalių geležinkelius į bendrą ES geležinkelių sistemą. Nuo šiol kroviniai iš vakarų Europos gali be sustojimo keliauti iki pat Kauno ir čia būti nukraunami, pakraunami ar perkraunami tarp dviejų skirtingų geležinkelio sistemų. Dabar Kaunas tapo labiausiai į rytus nutolusiu Europos geležinkelių sistemos tašku. Būtent iš Kauno intermodalinio terminalo atsiveria visos tolimesnės krovinių kryptys. Į vakarus Klaipėdos uostas, į šiaurę Latvija, Estija ir Skandinavijos šalys, į rytus Vilnius ir rytų Europa. Kauno intermodalinis terminalas dėl pradėjusio veikti Rail Baltica ruožo tampa vienu svarbiausių transporto sistemos taškų ne tik Lietuvai, bet ir aplinkinėms valstybėms, leidžiantis pasiūlyti naujas logistikos grandines. Kas buvo nuveikta, kad ši 9 km Rail Baltica atkarpa per Kauną būtų nutiesta? Projektą finansuojant ES ir valstybės biudžeto lėšomis darbų metu rekonstruotas unikalus XIX amžiuje pastatytas Kauno geležinkelio tunelis, kuriame įrengtas sugretintas europinės ir plačiosios vėžės geležinkelis. Tokį techninį sprendimą tunelyje Kaunas turi bene vienintelis pasaulyje. Taip pat rekonstruotas kontaktinis tinklas, kuris leis krovinius gabenti elektriniais lokomotyvais, taip mažinant CO2 emisiją. Visas ruožas per Kauną nutiestas taip, kad netrikdytų miesto eismo. Vienas tokių pavyzdžių – viadukas virš Baršausko gatvės. Kauno miesto savivaldybės lėšomis Amaliuose pastatytas tunelis pėstiesiems bei dviratininkams ir specialiajam transportui, kuris sujungia Chemijos ir Kalantos gatves. Kauno žemėlapyje išnyko varginanti Amalių pervaža, kurią pakeitė didžiausias Baltijos šalyse 4 tunelių pėstiesiems ir automobiliams skirtas požeminis geležinkelio kirtimo mazgas. Ateityje jis taps pietrytinio Kauno aplinkelio dalimi. Pastatytas dar vienas tunelis pėstiesiems Ugniakuro gatvėje. Taip pat įrengtas požeminis tunelis automobilių ir pėsčiųjų eismų jungiantis Palemono ir Marių gatves. Šalia gyvenamųjų namų iškilo apie 1,5 kilometro ilgio triukšmą slopinančių sienučių, ant bėgių buvo sumontuoti vibraciją bei triukšmą mažinantys slopintuvai. Iš viso į šią infrastruktūrą investuota beveik 55 milijonai eurų ES ir Lietuvos valstybės biudžeto lėšų. Įgyvendinus Rail Baltica projektą bus nutiesta elektrifikuota europinės vėžės geležinkelio linija nuo Varšuvos iki Baltijos valstybių pagrindinių miestų bei Helsinkio, o Kaunas bus vienas moderniausių geležinkelio mazgų, per kurį važiuos didžioji dalis visų Rail Baltica linija važiuojančių traukinių. Už europinės vėžės geležinkelio Rail Baltica projekto vykdymo Lietuvoje atsakinga Lietuvos geležinkelių grupės bendrovė LTG Infra.
All right, we saw that there is much construction taking place in Lithuania, many developments in place right now, but our Lithuanian guest has more to share. Our online guest for today from Lithuania is Mr. Gytis Mazeika from the Lithuanian Ministry of Transport and Communications. Mr. Mazeika, welcome.
Happy to be here.
Hello, welcome. Thank you for being here. So we are ready to update us with all the latest developments taking place in Lithuania. So please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Just a moment. I will show you my slides.
Yes, of course. Take your time.
Can you see it now?
Yes, we can. You're ready to go.
Okay, so thank you actually for this opportunity to talk about our Lithuanian transport and logistics sector and the potential. And well, the first slide, which we start with normally, is this one, which is basically giving you a perspective of how we in the ministry perceive Lithuanian transport and logistics system. So, in a nutshell, we are in the middle of 3 major markets, which each of those markets consists hundreds of millions of consumers. So it's basically the Baltic Sea region, the Northern Europe, the CIS, the Eastern Europe, and the Asian countries, and the Western Europe, and also the southern part of Europe. And this puts us into a natural transit hub. We have so well-developed transport and logistics sector that basically that sector no longer serves only the Lithuanian needs. We are basically serving all those international transport links that are crossing our country. And just to give a perspective of how this transforms into economic benefits to our country. So here you are. We are, in Lithuania, transport and logistics, storage included, is basically the third largest economic sector. This is how our ministry contributes to the GDP of Lithuanian economy. And in terms of transport services, we export, the transport sector basically constitutes more than 60% of the services export of Lithuanian economy. So this is how, this gives you at least a slight perspective, I hope, of how important is transport in Lithuanian economy and to Lithuanian economy. And going further on, very briefly, what are our major markets of services exports? So basically, this is the Western Europe and Europe in general, but also the CIS countries and Russia. And this is giving you also the perspective of, in terms of the numbers and of the, basically, probably the most important thing from this slide is to take for you is, I heard that you have mentioned before, the events in Lithuania or around Lithuania, and well, those events, we haven't seen yet that those events could make any major impact. We see growth in all the markets, and we see growth in our transport services export, and we haven't seen any negative, so to say, impact up to this moment. And I think this is the most important message for you to take from this slide. I know that I don't have much time but then let me move on. And I'm very much happy to share this slide in this particular forum, because rail freight is very important in Lithuania. As you can see, we carry more than 60, nearly 70% of all inland freight transport by rail. The rest is being carried by road. And yes, to be fair, this is not only the Lithuanian trend. This is very common in the Baltics. As you can see, Latvia is a similar situation. In Estonia is also a very high share of freight transport in rail. And we are happy that we have this situation. We're very happy that the European perspective and the European policies are pushing us even more to do even more, something to even increase this share. It's not actually very easy to do now, because we have already a very high share of freight transport in rail. But let me give you a perspective of what we are thinking about. So this is the slide that shows you road freight flows in Lithuania. So these are the major international road freight flows. And as you can see, we have a lot of road freight, obviously east-west direction, but north-south dimension is also heavily used. And in particular, on the border with Poland, we have an enormous freight on the road, and this is called the Via Baltica road, which is a very important economic corridor. But this is, in terms of rail freight, this is clearly the most unused potential that we have today. And this is particularly what we want to change in the near to medium future. And the works that you have been seeing in the video before, basically they are aimed at changing this situation. They are aimed at taking freight off the roads and putting them on trains and taking them to Europe, from Europe to Russia, to the CIS countries, using our logistics infrastructure. Now, so this is one of the important message which I wanted to convey with you. And this is the answer that basically we want to share with you to that potential we want to use. So this is the Rail Baltica. This is the largest infrastructure project since I think that the Tsarist Russia. It's actually been more than 100 years. This is the largest infrastructure project in the Baltics, not only in Lithuania. Well, you can see all those small technical details on the slide. But maybe what I wanted to share with you is that we don't see this only as a particular important infrastructure project to the Green Deal or CO2 emissions or greener transport, which it is, but not only that. We see this not only a corridor between the Baltics. We see this as a corridor, as you can see on the map. This is the North Sea Baltic corridor. This is a European transport corridor and a very important one. Why am I showing this to you is that although the Rail Baltic is under construction, so basically it's not yet finished, but we are already working on the so-called one-stop shop solution, which would provide all economic railway undertakings, the economic operators of rail. That one-stop shop would provide an easy access to the whole corridor. This is what we want to do. So the infrastructure managers of Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, they are now working on a model on how to ensure that if you want to go, for example, from Brussels to Riga, you can actually make a phone call into Tallinn, or we will launch a website and you can launch your application. And all the infrastructure managers on the route should basically give you the path and the capacity to go there. That's the idea. That model should be working before the infrastructure will be in place. So that means before 2026. Very briefly on where we are in Lithuania with the implementation and with the construction of Rail Baltic. So basically, this is in a nutshell the video you have seen before. Several highlights. So if you see Kaunas in the middle of Lithuania, the main priority for us today is to start construction to the Latvian border, basically north from Kaunas, because we have already a European gauge from Poland to Kaunas. That gauge is being used already for freight transport. But from Kaunas to Latvia, there's nothing yet. And we are ready to launch construction next year. That next year means basically if the winter will be not too harsh, we can even start in winter. On maybe some words on what does it mean in terms of the priority we give to this project in Lithuania is that from Kaunas to the Latvian border, we had to take more than 2,000 land plots to form the corridor for Rail Baltic. And we have managed to do this. The acquisition of land took only 1 year. This is because the project has a special status and we are moving fast forward in Lithuania. That's the law. And this is how we prioritize rail and also rail freight. So just in a nutshell, this is a small information for you to have in mind when you come to Vilnius in Lithuania next year. This gives you a bit broader perspective of what do we have in terms of transport and logistics infrastructure in Lithuania in general. So I would maybe firstly like to emphasize the Klaipėda seaport, which is the largest seaport in Lithuania. And this is only one of the largest seaports on the Eastern Baltic shore. Klaipėda seaport, as I mentioned before, hasn't seen any negative impact up to this date. And basically the yearly growth of the ports is more than 6% every year. Now, the Kaunas intermodal terminal, of which the construction you have seen in the video, is in the very middle of Lithuania. And as I said, it has today a possibility to connect the wide gauge with the European gauge. And we have already a terminal working there, full scale. We have also 2 trains per week, regular trains per week from Western Europe to Kaunas, carrying intermodal cargo, basically lorries and containers, and taking that cargo off the road. In terms of CIS countries, we can actually provide you with a solution to cross the border of the Schengen border with less than 30 minutes. The full train can cross the border. This is the whole time that basically all the customs procedures can take. And that happens on the border with Belarus in Kena station, which you can see on the map here. We can also give you the 3 international airports with a very easy access through air routes with the whole European region. And we can also provide you with a very strong manufacturing base. You know, manufacturing is very strong in Lithuania. That sector also provides more than 20% of the Lithuanian GDP. And in terms of the special conditions, we have 3 economic zones which are situated in Klaipėda, Kaunas, and Vilnius, which is very close to the major transport routes. And in addition to those, we have even more free economic zones in other places in Lithuania, which can provide you, with zero corporate tax and other possibilities to invest in Lithuanian territory. This is a bit more, gives you a perspective on a European scale, and with an emphasis on the Klaipėda seaport. As I said, we have a seaport which is very competitive in the Baltic Sea. But what's important in this slide, and why am I showing this to you, is that basically it gives you a perspective of how well the Klaipėda seaport is interconnected with railway network. And basically, seaport and Lithuanian railways, they never work separately. They always work together, and they can provide you with a very, very well-developed solution. Whether you speak of a logistical chain from Russia to Asia to USA, or you speak about a train from China to Western Europe, that can be provided in Lithuania quite easily. And this is my final slide, is what I wanted to show you is that on the global scale, Lithuania is also very well situated to provide international transportation. And what I just read before the webinar, I read that the train transportation between Asia and Europe is being growing, constantly. And if I'm not mistaken, I saw in the news that we have already surpassed the level of the 2020 in terms of train traffic. So basically, it's more than 2-fold increase per year in the traffic. So I'm quite confident that all countries on the eastern border of the EU, is it Lithuania or Latvia or Hungary, we will all play a very important part, because this is clearly a very important global trend, which we I think that we will be all important in that in transportation and in that economic trend. So this is in a nutshell, and thank you for your attention. I'm happy to be here, and I'm ready to answer any questions if you have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mazejka, for the detailed presentation that you just provided. Now, I think we can all agree that it's one of the most impressive things from the presentation is the rails model split in Lithuania, which is way larger compared to other leading countries in Europe, or at least theoretically leading countries like France or Germany. And I think this can be one of the incentives for people to visit the event in Vilnius during April. Apart from that, though, if you could summarize it, why are we hosting this event in Lithuania, and what reasons do people have in order to visit Vilnius in April?
I think it has already been mentioned before even we started my presentation. I heard this. I would like to see. I would like to have two things basically. First, I would like to provide the global players of the rail freight industry with a first-hand experience of what do we have in Lithuania, not only those slides or videos, but actually come here and see. That's the first thing. And the second thing is that, well, to be a bit more, business-like, I would like to have my or Lithuanian economic operators also to have a possibility to meet the global partners. We have more than several thousand of economic operators in the transport sector, not only rail, but also road is very important. And, road will never go, easily anywhere. So you can come here and meet. We have, the largest European road operators in Lithuania, which can provide you with a lot of cargo if you talk with them. So these are the two main reasons I would like to have the seminar and the event in Vilnius. And we are, as a ministry, we are ready to help and to facilitate any meetings you would like to have.
Sounds great. Now, Rob, do we maybe have any questions from our audience for Mr. Mazejka?
Yes, we definitely have. We have a few. So I would suggest to at least start with one due to the time. Mrs. Anna-Lena Prins is asking right now, Kaliningrad is serving as a feeder port for inbound rail shipments from the new Silk Road, which are destined to Central Europe. Are there any ambitions to make Klaipėda such a hub too?
Yes, definitely. Of course, definitely there are those ambitions, and we are actually working a lot on putting Klaipėda more in the logistics chain map. For the moment, everything depends on the economic operators. So as long as the transit trains are growing and are going through the Lithuanian territory and contributing to our economy, for us, it doesn't really matter much, is it Klaipėda or Kaliningrad, because Lithuanian railways still are playing a very, very important part in this logistical chain. And as I said, if the global trend will remain as it is, doubling every year, the trains are doubling every year, most basically, I'm quite sure Klaipėda will be a very important logistical hub as well for that trend.
Mayuri, do we have time for one more question?
Yes.
Of course.
All right, then I try to combine two questions from Ilidzan Ture, sorry for mispronouncing, and Laszlo Fenives. They're both asking something about the Schengen border solution. Will there be a digital transaction, Mr. or Mrs. Ture is asking, and is it really a 30-minute solution?
Yeah, so the 30-minute solution is quite simple. The trick is that you have to do all the work before the train comes to the border. That's the whole trick, and that's being done mostly in digital form. So basically, we have all the information, and we share that information with the Belarusian counterparts. And when the train comes to the border, literally the whole train, the whole kilometer, for example, can cross the border in 30 minutes because everything is being cleared out even before. So all the checks, that physical checks are needed to be done, take only 30 minutes. That's the idea, and that's how it works.
All right. Then I think Lithuania is a wrap for now. Thank you very much, Mr. Mazejka, and all of us are really looking forward to seeing you in Lithuania next April, 5 and 6 April specifically. So, Mayuri, I will let you do the rest.
All right. Yes, I'm also looking forward, and I think there's a lot of interest in this topic, judging by the comments. So please all come to Lithuania. Now, Rob, back to RailFreight.com.
Yeah.
Can you tell us maybe how it all started? Why did we even think of the name RailFreight.com?
Well, how do you start a news publication, digital, is by buying and obtaining the domain name. And we highly believe that it should be a very strong domain name, so we invested in the domain itself. But what we do at ProMedia Group is that we facilitate as an information source to grow businesses. And we do it in mobility, transport and automotive. All from Rotterdam, of course, and by having the experience of building communities and serving those niche markets, as we call it, with the latest information, we accelerate the business within the industries we operate in.
Yeah.
So we start with writing news about specific industries to accelerate business in between. That's how we create a big community and readership rate. We gain authority by that. And from there on, we try to move on and keep on helping the industry to get in touch with each other, to learn about the latest developments, both on and of course also offline.
Yeah. Now we have grown a lot, and there is a graphic that I would like to show, because there you can very clearly see what has happened in the last 5 years. We started here with low numbers, 5,000, and then slowly 10,000, and in the end, it was somewhere around 2020 that we suddenly started booming, and there were some peaks. And after the peaks, we maintained the audience, which was very good, which means that we actually build a community. Nikos, you may recognize some of these peaks, I think?
Yes, of course. I mean, if we take a look in 2020, you can more or less understand where the first peak comes. It's in March, more or less, when the pandemic started kicking in and all the restrictions started taking place in the transport industry. Of course, rail was there, and the news concerning this topic were very important. We observe a steady growth over time, and then we have some bigger peaks. This peak here is, I think, is also part of the best read story of our 5 years. It's about the first train from Finland.
I thought we're going to keep that a secret, but yes, you said it.
I disclosed the secret, so now I have to explain it. It's about the first train from Finland to India through the North-South International Transport Corridor that goes through Iran. And then we can see some other significant events, for instance, the summer floods in Belgium, Germany, and the Netherlands. And of course, here we have also some traffic from the UK concerning the electricity prices and the whole crisis that took place around this topic.
Yeah, that
and
was
some
our
news came from the UK,
Yeah, that was
but it's very important that we see an organic growth.
Yeah, that's true. And luckily, we managed to keep all of you on RailFreight.com. Now, we're going to Ukraine as well, later next year in June. Can you tell us a little bit more about Ukraine, why we're going there?
Why are we going to Ukraine? Well, there's being developed a new terminal, and N-Unit is doing that over there. And we think it's going to be a really important location when it's involving the east-westbound freight. And honestly speaking, I think it's not a location you would visit if there was nothing organized. And I think it's also about exploring new markets and possibilities. And as said previously, I think it's very good to bring people together with local community and the European industry to learn from each other.
Yeah.
I think existing terminals and new to be developed terminals can learn a lot from each other, but also the people who actually do the traffic, the bookers, the freight brokers, container supply, everything.
Yeah. And is Ukraine a hot topic on RailFreight.com?
I must say that it certainly is, and it is for multiple reasons. From a journalistic point of view, I can locate 3 reasons why it's important to write for Ukraine. First of all, it's the increasingly important role it has in the transit traffic on the New Silk Road. Secondly, there are internal developments taking place there all the time. For instance, we have the attempt to liberalize the market and allow access to third parties. And of course, we have the construction of many new terminals, which will play a role in the domestic traffic, but also in international traffic.
Yeah.
So I think, in this sense, it's very relevant to talk about terminals, new terminals.
Yeah, you can see that actually here we have brought up a top 10 of best read stories on Ukraine. There was the most popular was actually the TEN-T expansion of the TEN-T network into Ukraine and other countries. But you see a lot of news about transit through Ukraine and the role in this, and of course also the terminals. So those terminals are very important for our audience. And for that, we have invited another speaker who, as Rob said, is joining us at the RailFreight on Tour Summit in Ukraine. Volodymyr Demenko, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Welcome. You're from Levada Cargo, and you're a subsidiary of Lemtrans, isn't it?
Yes.
And you're joining us in organizing the RailFreight Summit in Ukraine. Maybe you can give us a little bit of a presentation about what you do exactly, because you're currently working on a new terminal in Mostishka.
Yes. Thank you very much. Could you open my presentation, please?
Yes. We're there. You can start.
Okay. Good afternoon, dear ladies and gentlemen. I'm Volodymyr Demenko, and I'm a big fan of multimodal transport. And I hope my short presentation will be interesting for you. Next slide, please. First of all, I want to tell you about a new project for Ukraine that will help connect Ukraine and the European Union with new multimodal logistic chains. Next, please. Container Terminal Mostitska, or CTM, have located on the Ukrainian-Polish border on the Ukrainian side. And soon we will be ready to provide high-quality service to trains running between China and European Union. Next, please.
The slides.
The total area of the terminal is 36.5 hectares, and the project has divided into 3 stages. First part will start work in the first half of 2022. And the capacity of the terminal will be near 100,000 TEU per year. The second part will include storage capacity, and the capacity of storage will be near 60,000 square meters. And third part and final will allow adding reload capacity up to 200,000 TEU per year, and the beginning of construction will start at the first part of 2023. Next, please. The unique feature of Container Terminal Mostitska is the presence of 2 trucks of 2 types, white and standard, Ukrainian and European. At the first stage, we will have 800 meters of 1435 and 800 meters of 1520. The terminal will be able also work with roller trains, and will have, could you next one? There are some photos of construction progress. The first photos, the first part of October 2021. Next, please. Also, we will have regular container trains that will connect the Ukrainian multimodal terminals in Ukraine. For example, cities like Kharkiv, Odessa, Dnipro, Vinnytsia, Zaporizhia, with the multimodal network in the European Union. It will be very convenient, fast, environmentally friendly transport for you and your clients. And now I would like to show a small video of the future terminal, please. Thank you very much for attention. And waiting in Ukraine.
Or not? Okay, we have maybe lost the connection with Volodymyr.
Impressive footage from the terminal, right?
It is very impressive, and I think it's very nice that we get to go there. Maybe one of you can answer this question. Mostishka, why is this so important, you think, in the network?
I think it's mainly because it's on the border, so it's going to facilitate traffic to and from Europe and Russia mainly. So we're talking about a new route, a new border crossing that might also play a role in congestion.
Yeah, because I think we've already seen it a lot on the website as well. We get a lot of news about Mostishka, a lot of people interested in this route. And when it comes to the new Silk Road, why would anyone choose for Ukraine?
I will quote something that I realized lately. Ukraine has a common gauge with Russia, of course. So if we think about Far East ports or traffic from China through Russia, then it's important that trains do not have to change and reload.
Yeah.
So we're talking about faster transit through Ukraine.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people also refer to Ukraine as the alternative, the next alternative, because there was, of course, the main route, and there's Kaliningrad, which is now really coming up. But Ukraine is then the next preferred option, and we need a lot of new options because of all those rising volumes.
Rising volumes and rising congestion all the time.
Yeah.
Shippers are always complaining about congestion on the border, so we need these new routes to enable better connectivity. Whether it's Lithuania, whether it's Ukraine, it's very crucial for the new Silk Road to keep developing.
Yeah, and I also noticed that there is a kind of a change in the mentality about Ukraine, because in the beginning, whenever we mentioned it, so a lot of questions about the stability, the political stability, and now people, I think, are starting to gain trust in this transit route.
Yes, and I also think that people try to keep business from politics separated. Sometimes they're intertwined, but if business can take place, then it's safe to do it, I guess.
Yeah. Now, it's a pity that we have lost the connection, but I'm pretty sure that you can meet Volodymyr in Mostishka or in Lviv, where this conference is taking place. We had questions for you. Maybe we can send them to him later and we'll get them answered. Now, we already had a sneak preview of the best read story.
I'm sorry about that. I need to apologize.
We can ask another question. How many viewers did you think, do you think was the best read story worth, Rob? You can take a guess.
Do you think I'm...
Yeah. And then when you win a glass of champagne.
Ah, pretty good. I think 6,500 unique readers.
And do you know the number by heart?
I'm pretty sure I do, yes. It's more than 50,000 unique users.
Let's have a look.
So there's a bit of a difference, but...
Yeah. This was the story that he just mentioned. That was the best read story in 5 years. The first block train from Finland to India already on the move. And this got us 57,990 views. Am I saying it correctly?
Yes.
Yes. And why do you think that was such an important topic, Nikos?
I think it's because it involves 3 different but equally important elements. First of all, it's Finland and Scandinavia. Businesses are looking towards Scandinavia with much interest now as a new gateway to and from Europe, but also as a new destination because there is much potential in these markets. Then secondly, but equally importantly, we have the North-South international transport corridor going from Russia through Iran, which is a new corridor, not completely developed yet, but with much potential when it comes to connecting Russia with the Persian Gulf ports.
Yeah.
And of course, it's India, which is a huge market with huge rail freight potential, big ports. So it's about connecting big economies, in my opinion.
And we saw it in the top 10, actually. India was, I think, number 3 or number 4 in the
think it was number 4
audience
or 5, yes.
List of audiences.
Precisely.
Is, I have a question in between. I was also thinking about it, but Mr. Osmiansky is asking the question, is this route still up and running?
Nikos, you know the latest.
Not really. The first train was a test pilot train, actually. there are many things to be done, and there are many geopolitical developments involved. For instance, the route passes through an ex-war zone in Azerbaijan and Armenia, which hinders the development of the rail part from Armenia to Iran. And then there is a rail leg to be developed further in Iran. So there are a bit more of investments to take place. Countries are cooperating strongly in this sense, but I think that everybody pushes to this direction. So I think that we will see it operating soon.
Yeah, and I think Nurman Logistics knows everything about it. They may have sent another few test trains, and they're going to talk about this at the European Silk Road Summit. So if you want to know more, come to the European Silk Road Summit. Now, one last destination for this webinar, and we've already been there, Rob.
Yeah.
What am I hinting towards?
You are hinting towards Fenyes-Liedke
Yes.
and Hungary, where a state-of-the-art terminal is being built at the moment. We saw some videos, or at least we saw already, but we're going to watch them with each other now. And we've been visiting. We were welcomed by Mr. Janos and Mr. Adam Telossi towards Budapest and Fenyes-Liedke. Perfectly organized, and I'm very much looking forward to bring our community there as well.
Yes, we want to share the experience, and we have on the line with us Adam Telossi. Welcome. Adam from Budapest.
Everyone. Can you hear me well? Because I cannot see you currently.
Yes, we can hear you and see you very well. Are you currently in Budapest or Fenyes-Liedke?
I'm in Fenyes-Liedke right now.
Okay, at the spot where everything happens.
Absolutely.
How is it going with the terminal?
Excuse me, again.
How is it going with the terminal?
How is it going? There are many things to do, but we are rapidly moving forward with the construction. Currently, the cranes provided by Kunz are under assembly, and also we are getting to be finalized with the warehouse and the office building. We had 2 short videos. If you could show
Yes,
to the others, that would be nice.
Let's have a look at the first video of the arrival of the Kunz trains. Kunz cranes.
Yes, please.
Yep. Yeah, well, you know, I'm really impressed because I was there less than a month ago and it was much less than what I see right now. So exactly, you're building very hard. What should we know about this terminal? Why is it important for the RailFreight industry?
Yeah, from the very start, greetings to everyone. My name is Adam Telossi, board member of East West Intermodal Logistics PLC. Yes, we just started full project, let's say, 2 years ago. And we are very close to the live operation, which is planned to be next April or May latest. Our company is developing terminal and intermodal terminal with a theoretical capacity of 1 million TEU, of course, which is a bit limited by the infrastructure. Currently, we will be able to manage around 500,000 TEUs per year. Why is it important? A brand new modern terminal was totally missing from this side of Hungary, and we decided to invest into it, especially because our terminal is located at the ending point of the wide gauge railway tracks, which are coming from Ukraine and Russia. So we can say it's a strategic point of the European Union.
All right, and Ukraine is then, I think, the transit country that the traffic comes from?
Exactly. We have a great relationship, and we are under negotiations with the Ukrainian side as well. Of course, they are very important in our project.
And you said that it's a very area that not a lot of activity is there right now, and yet this is going to be a very modern terminal, so it's a very interesting development. Can you explain to us why it's so modern?
Yes, we decided to apply the most advanced technology which is available currently. Our cranes will be operated by 5G. We are developing a 5G private network around the terminal. Our Kunst cranes are self-automatic, and maybe later we will fully automatize them. As a first in Europe, we are also developing a brand new 3D digital operation surface with a Hungarian startup, through which we will able to operate our terminal in a real time. The terminal operation system will be provided by Navis. We will have OCR gates at the public entry points and the railway entry points of the terminal, which will be provided by Chemco. We are totally focusing on green energy. We will have a significant solar plant, heat pump system. We will use only electric terminal tractors and vehicles around the terminal. So we are on to apply really the most advanced technologies. So currently it will be the most advanced terminal in Europe.
Yeah, it looks very promising. What do we get to see when we visit the event in October?
In October.
Are we going there?
Absolutely. Yes. We are going to visit the terminal. Why the conference is important? On the new Silk Road, new alternative routes are required besides the currently existing ones, and such a new direction can be Hungary, and the participants can be convinced personally about the fact that every single condition will be met which is required to provide a high quality service and a very fast service for the clients. Yeah. If the participants will come to Debrecen next year, which is quite close to our terminal is like 25 kilometers from the border. So if the participants will come to Debrecen next year, they will able to see technologies as a reference which are used first time in Europe and maybe in the world as well. And on the other hand, they will hear experts from the industry who really believe that this route through Hungary, through our terminal, will be a great opportunity for them.
All right. You mentioned that you had another video that you could show. It's the video of the warehouse being built. Let's have a look at that. right. And we have one question for you, Adam, in the chat.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I know it, but I rather leave it up to you. Who is the investor, Adam? Is it a Hungarian company, a governmental, or for foreign companies being?
Absolutely a private investment, our family-owned company and our investor partners here in Hungary. So it's a private investment, definitely.
Yeah.
Indeed, yeah. I didn't finish my sentence, but thank you, Thomas Kauka, for asking.
All right. Well, I can assure you that it's going to be a very nice visit because we've been there. So we're going to see you again in October, Adam.
Yes, you will see. As you saw on the videos, we are really close to the final stage of the construction. And some additional data besides that, we will have a theoretical capacity of 1 million TEU. We will be able to manage 20, 40, and 45-foot containers as well. We already have the highest qualified permit to manage dangerous goods and chemicals. At the same time, we will be able to store 200 to 300 reefer containers as well on the side. Every single public utility is already available. The terminal itself is 85 hectares, but we are going to start a development of an industrial hub around the terminal, which will be up to 300 to 500 hectares, and it will be possible to build warehouses, manufacturing facilities, and even factories as well on the site. Right. At the same time, we will be able to store 15,000 of containers, but this storage area will be also possible to extend. So if we meet next year in the terminal, everybody can see and can be convinced that we are really doing this.
All right. And will you let us know when you started the first operations?
The first operations are planned to be started next April.
Yeah, and you will give us a note, right? So we can write about it on RailFreight.com.
Absolutely, that would be wonderful.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
And we'll see you soon again.
Hope to see you soon. Goodbye. Thank
Goodbye.
you.
Yes, and I think that's a wrap of the webinar, but not before we give one last celebration, because we have to just toast on that 5 years of RailFreight.com. Let's bring the champagne. Let's celebrate. Woo! Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, audience, for supporting us throughout all these years and for
Thanks
being...
to our readers.
Thanks, readers, and we hope we get to meet a lot of these people very soon.
Thanks, readers, partners, and of course you, the team.
All right.
Cheers.
Let's have a toast. Cheers.
See you soon.
And see you soon.
See you soon.